Aries. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for May of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco.
Well, Aries, if you missed your annual birthday reading because your birthday just was and you were probably too busy for it because Aries, it's not too late to get oriented to your personal new year and find out what's coming for you this year and get on the right side of it. You can find a link for a birthday solar return reading in the YouTube description below. Well, Aries, I have fantastic news for you, which is that Jupiter is going to be entering your sign this month. And whether you're a sun sign Aries or a rising sign Aries, this is pretty awesome stuff. Jupiter brings luck, opportunity, confidence, some things, these are things that every Aries wants if you're not feeling them. And this is a boost that happens every 12 years and lasts for about a year. So I think it's going to be really enjoyable. It's going to really light you up and fill you with the energy to magnetize the opportunities that you're wanting right now. You'll find a video about this Jupiter in Aries thing in our May 2022 news videos playlist on YouTube on our channel, Pandora Astrology. Another piece I want to tell you about is that on the 15th, Ceres, right down here, she's going to move into Cancer, sign of hearth and home, and your fourth house also to do with hearth and home. And Ceres likes to organize things. She likes to set you up to be a good steward and caretaker wherever she goes. And so she's going to be in your fourth house for a couple more months. We'll tell you when she changes signs. And so during this time, it's a really great time to reorganize things around the house, set up your health routines, maybe, make areas of your house more ergonomic, for example, and do some really great cooking, get some great recipes. Those would all be really good uses of this transit. The last thing I want to tell you about before turning it over to Julia is that Juno is traveling along through Pisces. And I'm going to say more about this in future videos because Juno is going to be going retrograde soonish, and she'll be in Pisces for much of the rest of the year, traveling along through your 12th house, which might make you feel as if your committed relationship life, whether you're partnered or not, kind of goes underground or underwater. You might find yourself taking a bit of a backseat and wanting a little bit more solitude and space to yourself. So we'll say more about that as it approaches. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Aries of the world?
Hey, Aries, so much is going on. Mercury is going retrograde this month, which, happens about 3 times a year, but it's a pretty big deal. Mercury is the planet of communication and mentation, and when it goes retrograde, it is usually a time of review of wherever Mercury is in your chart, as well as a time of miscommunications too. So Mercury is in your 3rd house. It starts the month in your 3rd, which is the house of communication. Actually, the 3rd house and Mercury have a lot of overlaying meanings to one another. So with Mercury in the 3rd, it's usually a time of kind of increased communication in people's lives, like getting lots of phone calls, letters, texts. The 3rd house can also represent your local surroundings, and Mercury is a little fast-moving, busy planet. So you might find that you're really busy running around your neighborhood, taking lots of little trips, getting a lot of things done. Now, on the 10th this month, Mercury is going retrograde in your 3rd house. So that's like you're entering a time of miscommunications, like squared, because Mercury and the 3rd both represent communication. These miscommunications may crop up in all your relationships, particularly maybe with your siblings or neighbors, because those are ruled by the 3rd house as well. Now, on the 21st, we're going to be having Lesser Epiphany Day, and that's when Mercury retrograde exactly conjoins the Sun. The Mercury and the Sun are just in the same space in the sky. So during any any epiphany day. And, there's lesser when Mercury is retrograde and it's greater when Mercury is direct. It's usually a time of clarity and a little bit of insight into all of the confusion we've been dealing with. So on the 21st, when this happens in your third house, you might get some insights and maybe aha moments into the miscommunications you've been having with people. It's also possible that you might get some insights also into any writing that you've done, or even learning too, because the third house can represent learning as well. Now, Venus is the planet of art, beauty, and relationships. The very first day of the month, she's in your 12th house of isolation, where she's kind of been feeling a little more socially withdrawn. But by May 2nd, Venus enters your first house. And this is everybody's favorite transit, because Venus in the first can literally make you look more beautiful, because Venus represents beauty and relationships. So between the 2nd and the 28th is a great time to get lots of headshots done, maybe get your hair done, maybe go out shopping for new clothes. Anything that can beautify your appearance in any way is definitely favored during this time. And for all the single Aries out there, it's really nice for dating too, because, if you're looking a little extra good, it kind of puts your best foot forward on dates. So enjoy that. Then by May 28th, Venus is going to enter your second house for the last few days of the month, which will be bringing a little bit of luck, a little bit of pleasure to the finances in your life, as well as your possessions. Now, the last planet we're going to talk about is Mars, the planet of action and activity. And it starts and spends most of the month in your 12th house. Up until the 24th, it's going to be in there. So with Mars in the 12th house, wherever we have Mars, we can feel very driven. So Mars in the 12th house can be really, really excellent if you're a spiritual type of person or actively engaged in some kind of service work, because those are both ruled by the 12th house. It would be a great transit for yoga, because Mars is an active planet. The 12th house is such a sort of spiritual and sort of subconscious place. Now, Mars in the 12th, if you're working, whether you're working at the office or at home, usually is good for doing a lot of work on your own, because the 12th house is a little bit of an isolated, hidden house. So, it's not great for necessarily teamwork, but if you can kind of get on your own to get stuff done, that can be really, really great. Now, the 12th house is known as the house of self-undoing. So it does have some tricky features to it. So with Mars in the 12th, sometimes because Mars represents our actions, if you feel tempted to do anything underhanded or indirect, try to kind of maneuver things indirectly and not really be above board in your actions, sometimes that stuff can go back to bite you too. So try to just be as beyond reproach as you can with your behavior and actions, and it should be totally fine. Then on May 24th, Mars enters that first house of yours, which is going to be really different than having Venus in your first house, because Mars in the first makes one a lot more assertive. It can be a high energy time in people's lives, so pretty good for getting a good workout routine, but sometimes can make people over assert themselves too. And we'll cover that in a lot more depth in next month's video, so stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Julia, with Mars and Jupiter getting together there in the first house.
Oh, wow.
In the middle of the month, there's
energy.
going to be a burst of energy for the Aries of the world.
After maybe a month of sleepiness.
Right. You get a lot of sleep, and then when you wake up, wow.
Boom.
So I want to talk about a couple of moons going on this month. First one is a lunar eclipse happening on the 15th. It lands in your 8th house. This one is like a multiple whammy for you specifically. It's going to be intense because it's a full moon, and full moons generally will bring up emotion, often in relationships. It's a moon in Scorpio, so that adds intensity to it. And it's also an eclipse because of the way the moon and the sun are placed near the north and south nodes, quite near actually. And then that it lands in your own 8th house just adds intensity. So right around the middle of the month, I think this eclipse is going to be pretty strong for you. And in particular, where to look for this is in your intimate relationships or in your state of debt. If you are indebted, if you are, paying on a mortgage or a car or a property, and you owe money, or if somebody owes money to you, or if you're in a business partnership, this eclipse could bring up some pretty strong emotion and conflict. And so it's best to be in those situations and environments, as Julia said a minute ago, with as much integrity as you can muster, because, yeah, there may be some cleanup that needs to happen. The next moon I want to tell you about is happening at the end of the month on the 30th. It is a new moon in Gemini, which falls in your third house. And again, connecting with what Julia said, Julia described Mercury moving into the third house and sort of bringing up those old miscommunications so that they can be cleared up and messages can finally be delivered, because when Mercury is retrograde, those things get all tangled up. Well, this new moon gives you a chance for a new beginning after you've been thinking on and ruminating on the results of those poor communications that have happened. And this will give you a fresh start. All right, then the last thing I want to tell you about is the change of season, which is the sun moving into Gemini. And here we see it in the last day of Taurus, May 20th. By the 21st, the sun has moved into Gemini. And in tropical Western astrology, we call this a season rather than a sign. We certainly don't call it a constellation. And the season of Gemini is a great time for the intellectual stimulation, for the learning, for, just cramming your mind full of data and processing it and distributing it where it needs to go. And that's really what the season of Gemini is about for you, because the sun is moving along through your third house. And we know that just about as the sun is moving into Gemini, it's also encountering that Mercury moving backwards at that time. So this Epiphany Day should be pretty powerful and yield some powerful insights and be a great beginning to that season of Gemini, which lasts about 30 days. Well, Aries, there you have it. You can always find your horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the horoscopes tab. You can find our news videos and our horoscopes on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. And if this horoscope makes you curious to have a birthday reading, like I said before, it's not too late, and you can find us in the readings tab on our website. And there are also classes on offer as well. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.